And we're back, and we just finished watching 2017's COCO by Pixar, a movie that even now, after repeated watchings, still brings me to tears. We've asked our Uncle Leo to join us today to review the movie. Hi, Uncle Leo.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Hello, my favorites.
So let's just jump right in. What did you think of the movie?
I loved it. Well, how could you not? Well, we can talk about this movie in so many ways. So I think I want to start with, besides the backdrop of music being the whole thrust of this, and also there's so many amazing things that this movie touches about families and respecting your elders and traditions, and then the backdrop with the music. But what really blew me away, besides all that, which completely blew me away, was the way the movie looked. Like, it just looked like when the kids were holding these candles. I mean, when we were kids and cartoons were just like very flat and Bugs Bunny was running around or whoever, but
I was thinking of like even Rocky and Bullwinkle. Remember how like just older, Spartan that looks? And when you absolutely like this movie, like the scenes where Miguel first goes into the land of the dead, it's like, what is all that?
We were happy with Rocky and Bullwinkle and Scooby-Doo.
We were.
and these children could see it's a cartoon, but the glow of the candles, and then when they do cross over into the day of the land of the dead, whatever that's referred to, because I'm still learning about it, it just looked like I could only imagine looking through Miguel's eyes what this place is, because even he wasn't really sure what it was until he crossed over that. I guess it was like this bridge or whatever. Yeah. That and every
the bridge of petals.
The Bridge of Petals, correct. And I just was blown away on so many levels. But the one that really stuck out to me, because I'm not a cartoonist, I'm not a visual artist by far. I'm more of I love music, but the music was beautiful, of course. But the way this movie looked, like it was just stunning. Just stunning. And I don't know if it got awards for that, but...
Got Best Picture that
beautiful.
Year. If it didn't, it should have.
Yeah, it really should have. Yeah.
It did get Best Song. It did get Best Song.
It did? Yeah. That was,
a big upset.
So I was not prepared for COCO. I literally lost it in the movie theater the first time we saw this. I have subsequently watched it repeatedly, and I still lose it. I feel this is one of those movies where you can absolutely find something new. And like Uncle Leo was saying, that just how it ties in so beautifully to life itself. You have aspects of joy where this child finds joy in music, and he's sort of upset that his family doesn't seem to understand his passion and his love for this thing that's just so inherent inside of him. Mm-hmm. And then you have this child who also feels obligated to the familial unit. Like, he doesn't want to have a bad relationship with his family, but at the same time, none of them seem to understand where he's coming from. And I think that's something that a lot of young people have to deal with. And it's unfortunate when you come from, and being a person of Latin descent, when you come from a culture that is so steeped in ruling with an iron fist, as you could tell that his grandmother she was
wailing everybody with that slipper on her.
Exactly. And that's such a Latin thing, the slipper thing. Like, I'm watching it and I'm getting terrified.
Even people that weren't even in her family.
The funny thing was her grandmother hit it. Like, COCO was the nice one.
Right.
Like, it skipped. Yeah. Like, it skipped a generation. And then the way her COCO's mother,
Elena, Mama Elena. Imelda, right? Mama Imelda, right? Elena was the grandmother.
Yeah, you said Elena was COCO's mom, but
no. Elena was.
All right, moving on.
Moving on. Anyway, Miguel's grandmother, whose name we're confusing now. Yeah, just the way that she ruled with an iron fist. That was my point. Sorry, go ahead.
So, I don't remember. I'm actually responding to a child who, I don't know where my homework is. I'm like, I'm over my life. But anyway.
Uncle Leo is a musician and a New York City
Well, more of a
school
teacher than a musician, but, but I love my job. But oh my god. Anyway, so and I'm still responding to the kids that I love so much, and I don't even get to see them. But
we are living in such a dystopia. It's so funny that 2020 became a dystopian novel. I mean, and I love dystopian novels, but I never thought I'd be living in one.
And yeah, so the funny thing what I loved about another really, besides the music, because the music, the whole musical part of it was really
Lovely.
just the backdrop of this whole incredible story, whereas especially learning about the Day of the Dead. Like, to me, it was always like, why are they wearing skeletons? These things are scary, you know, and terrifying. But in a way, it taught me so much, even by laying the petals on the floor to make sure that they know the spirits know where they're going, and these altars where they remember their past through their relatives, and these stories are important to tell. And it just felt like it felt very Native American at the same time, and then it felt very Latin at the same time, and it felt South American and Latin American at the same time. Like, it just kind of the importance of remembering who you are and where you came from, and why that story is so important. That was another thing that blew me away, was just, what is Day of the Dead? And it kind of hit me last Halloween with my class before, that one of my students came in dressed up as Day of the Dead, and it was just beautiful. And then I actually had seen COCO the year before, so I was like, oh, I know a little bit about it.
Yeah.
And I said, you have the pictures and the altar, and you remember it. But I had forgotten a little of the movie until I had seen it last night, which was when I had seen it.
Yeah, it's so much more than just like Mexican Halloween, which is pretty much how most of the world who doesn't understand it think of it.
No, it's the biggest holiday. Like, I think it's.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not Mexican, but I would see why it's so important.
Yeah.
And then so.
Well, it's also interesting because, and I think another thing that Pixar does magnificently is sometimes focus on a culture, like they did kind of Celtic with Brave, and they focused on Mexican culture here, but everyone has family. Everyone grieves when a relative passes. So that's the nice thing. It's funny, I tell my kids all the time, the things that unite us are more universal and more common than the things that separate us. And Pixar is, once again, top-notch storytelling, beautiful, just imagery that really speaks to everyone. I mean, I don't think you even need to understand the culture to understand the importance of family, the importance of honoring your ancestors, the importance of learning from the past to move forward. There's that phrase about history always repeating itself, right? So in this sense, because of the mistakes that ancestors made, Miguel can now make better choices in life with the guidance and hindsight of the family history.
And the honesty of that. It's also the whole family had to learn that people make mistakes, and
Right.
and not getting the chance to clear up that mistake or explain yourself in a way could be very damaging along family lines. For instance, my family, I found out that I had a whole slew of relatives on my mother's father's side, that because of trying to protect my mother and her feelings, nobody ever explained to my mother who's the youngest person on one of her sides. My mother is actually one of the oldest children on my mother's father's side, but she's the youngest one one of the youngest ones on her mother's side.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very, very like I can imagine if she had grown up on that side, knowing who they were, and it was all because of my biological grandfather wanted to live his dream. He wasn't a nice person by all means. I mean, you don't leave your children and then get married again, but he was one of these people that had music in him. He just wasn't very nice about it. So he had, and that was one of the another thing, like how do you make amends with that? Because I just found out about all these relatives just through 23andMe and on Facebook, really by trying to make all these connections. And I found out that my mom has first cousins that are really cool, and they're trying to reach out to me. But as you know, COVID came and I wasn't able to see to see them yet, but we've been communicating. And it's really nice, but it's also, it kind of ties into this because you have to sort of make good on the past, and hopefully that will bring your future more clarity or make your future easier because of the decisions that you're going to make. You hit it on the head, and to learn that at like 10, or at least spoon feed it a little at 9 or 10, or even your older daughter, 12. She's age, she could still, I can't believe it's 12.
I know.
I remember you in the hospital.
No, I still eat like I'm pregnant.
I remember you in the hospital. I said, damn, I missed that. I wanted to see you scream. But
I was on so many narcotics. I don't remember 80% of her birth. I have to actually ask Ray to just like repeat it to me. Like, what happened then? And he's like, well,
I got there too late. I was like, oh my God. Because I wanted to like, wow. But no, but tying this back, it's like, gee, there's even lessons for everybody.
Absolutely.
50-year-old and 80-year-old, Olive's age, everybody's age. Well, everybody has something to take from it. I watched it again, and I cried a little at the end. I didn't cry as much because it was a bit like the twist of not knowing who he believes who his father is, and then it ends up being someone who's been trying to help him all along. And it's just, wow. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. And again, it's so funny because, again, this is one of those movies where you really find something new every time. I don't know if that's the case with you, but...
I mean, I would say for me, it's just like exploring the visuals and seeing something new there, and just noticing that something is a skull that you didn't notice was a skull before. Like the Land of the Dead is so beautifully realized. Just especially those expanded shots where you see everything. Just like it's like this crazy cityscape of buildings on top of buildings. The architecture, the way everything's connected, the way everything is so colorful, and then you have like the spirit animals flying through the air and lurking about, and the way they made skeletons friendly looking. I remember when this film first came out, they were sort of like, people were wondering how the hell Pixar was going to pull that off, because it is skeletons. Sure, they're painted with little flowers and flourishes around the eyes and whatnot, but it's still skeletons. And you're marketing this to
children,
little kids.
They did it. Yeah. They made them clumsy and breakable, and you can put them back together. And
it's the eyes, and I think also they didn't go full skull on it. Like, they had lips, which helped a lot. I think if it was just like teeth, it would have just been like horrifying, way more horrifying. But they just did a fantastic job.
I mean, we're huge fans of Pixar in this house. So and Pixar consistently just always brings their A game as far as storytelling. This is, I mean, again...
What about The Good Dinosaur?
Well, you're allowed to have a dud here and there.
Let's forget about The Good Dinosaur.
But,
which movie?
The Good Dinosaur.
Who?
The Good Dinosaur. It was another movie. I don't think I saw it. You took the kids to see it.
The Good Dinosaur. I think it came out the same year as Inside Out, so nobody really remembers The Good Dinosaur, and rightfully so. It was not good.
I remember that other one, Inside Out. That was the one with the globes,
the feelings,
right?
Yeah.
Inside Out was brilliant.
That's brilliant. I've given that movie a 10. I'm going to out myself. I'm going to give COCO a 10 because it is a perfect film on so many levels. I think that just as a visual piece, it is stunning. It is beyond stunning. These people, I mean, it's funny because you come across people like this in life. Like, Uncle Leo to me is like this joie de vivre. Ever since I met Uncle Leo, I just was always attracted to his light and his just humanity, just being just so spectacular.
I don't know what she's talking about.
But anyway, there are people that just live in color consistently, right? And it's so interesting when you take that aspect in life and put it on film. This movie almost, it's like it breathes. It's like its own entity. It's amazing. So I'm horribly impressed by that. The story, lovely. It spoke to me. And again, this is something that crosses just every ethnicity, every age group. We all come into this world, we all live, and then eventually we pass. And there shouldn't be fear about death. I think that's another thing. I mean, you can have these conversations with kids, maybe not too soon, maybe not at 5, but as kids get older, I'm such a proponent for having honest discourse with kids. I think that sometimes people try to bubble wrap children to aspects of life that they shouldn't. How else are we going to equip kids to live in this world if we don't give them all the tools and the knowledge to live in this world? So there's that, things about tradition and culture, how we should embrace that, because that's the larger tapestry of our existence. We are the descendants of our ancestors, and I'm sure our ancestors just want us to live in peace and harmony and love and to be the best that we can be. They've struggled so much so that the people that came after them would have better lives. Like Coco's mother, who felt like, I got this deadbeat husband, but now I have to assume the mantle of providing for myself and my family. And she didn't allow herself to have a pity party. She just said, this is the card I've been dealt with in life, and I just need to deal with it. Yeah. And that's also very powerful, because typically people think that an ideal family is a father and a mother, but sometimes it's just a mother, sometimes it's an uncle, sometimes it's a friend. And we get to choose our family in life through our friends, but we should also make the effort, as someone who's buried both parents, I think we should also make the effort to reach back into the past and mend those fences as well. There's a lot here. There's a lot here to explore. I mean, we could really deep dive, but we won't. Olive G, tell me what you think about this movie.
It's great.
What's so great about it?
How they did everything.
Yeah.
The bones looked good.
The who?
Oh my God. The bones
look good. Okay. So you like the look of the movie.
It also is very colorful.
Very colorful. Oh, did you have a favorite character in this movie?
It seems like every time we ask, do you have a favorite character? The answer is no.
Did you like Miguel? Could you see Miguel's story and kind of say, oh, I felt like my parents didn't understand my dream or my passion?
Actually, you do understand me.
I do.
So can I ask the question?
Yeah, absolutely. Uncle Leo's going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
What did you learn from the movie? Was there any lesson that you learned from the movie?
The lesson that I learned is to appreciate your family.
That's good.
That's a good lesson.
That's a good lesson. Yeah. Look at that.
I'm gonna teach her. I'm gonna be a teacher. So how could you support that from the movie? Could you give me an example of what you believe the life lesson is? How any part of the movie can prove that to me?
What's an example of that?
Yeah.
How did Miguel honor his family?
By fixing his mistakes.
Okay. In a way, sure. And how did he help Hector?
He helped Hector by putting his picture up.
And also reminding who about Hector?
Coco.
About reminding Coco. This way, when her father lived in her memories, he sort of still lived on, even though he was no longer there. What about you, G? What did you think about the movie?
I love this movie.
Yeah, what do you love about it?
I also like the way the movie and the characters looked, and
very cool.
I like how they put many details.
It is a very detailed world.
What about the story? Was there anything about the story that you've really enjoyed or found meaning in? Or?
Did you learn anything? Did you learn anything about yourself, or did you learn anything about the world through this movie? We're not putting you on the spot. I know it's a school question, but you are mature enough to answer this, because I've had the few conversations I have had with you were pretty cool. So tell me, what did you take from this movie that you could apply to your life, and it doesn't have to be like big or anything, and none of your answers are going to be wrong, because you're going to take whatever you're going to take from this movie.
Right. It's however you interpret it.
Yeah, because me, it's all, oh my God, it's, for me, I took the most was learning about Mexican culture. A big part of Mexican, I think, is it mostly Mexican or is it all Latin American?
No, it's definitely Mexican, yeah.
So the Ecuadorians don't do that?
Not really, no.
Right.
Family is huge. I think in most Latin American countries, the idea of family is big. I think now with younger generations, it's not as focused. Religion has also lost a huge foothold in the culture. But yeah, and I think, and again, obviously there can't be a blanket statement for everything, but I think there are some people that still are very steeped in familial traditions and stuff, and this is one of them, especially in Mexico. Day of the Dead is very much a huge thing because it's a way to honor the past, and you don't have to be a religious person to feel that way. It's important. Again, the ancestors lived and paved the way so that their descendants would reap the benefits of all their hard work. And at the end of the day, as any parent, I want better for my children. So however that is, whether you grow up to follow your passions or just be a decent human being, those are the lessons that those that came before us always try to instill in us. And just a healthy respect for traditions and for family and stuff like that. So what would you say, G, was a big lesson here? Or not even a big lesson.
As your mother, gave you everything to think about. So
me, I like talking.
Oh my God. Anyway. Oh my God. She just went on, and I'm like, let the young lady speak. She's not a child. She's a young lady.
Yes, she is.
Or however she wants to be referred to, because I don't want to say anything still incorrectly. So what did you take from this movie that might be some sort of, not a life lesson? What was most important to you in this movie?
I think I also liked how tradition was and how it looked, and I also liked Miguel's family and how open they were after he sort of explained to them what was going on.
That's cool, yeah.
That even so, people who have been closed-minded about something for a long time can change. And that's not always, we don't give change a chance sometimes. And I agree. I think, not that I couldn't agree with you, but
yeah, and sometimes the change
is for the better.
It opens doors that were closed before. COCO was going. She was pretty much just a shell, unable to communicate, didn't remember who anybody was. And the one thing that brought her back was the song that her father sang. And that was something that was banned from the house for God knows how long. Yeah. And that was... And
it opened the floodgates for her, right?
It opened the floodgates for her. That was completely eye-opening, especially for Elena, especially for Elena. You see... That's another thing that's great about Pixar's work is the emotions on everybody's faces.
Oh my God, the tear.
The little tear rolling down her cheek.
Oh.
That hard woman just broken by the realization that, oh my God, this is my mom. My mom is back and brought back by my grandson who sang this beautiful song.
Yeah, that kid had a really nice voice too, I thought, when he sang, because he was definitely doing both the voice acting and the vocal.
Yeah. Another amazing thing. What was I gonna say? Oh, I forgot. just when I'm teaching the children, I forgot. Mr. Randazzo, you forgot. Yeah, no kidding, children.
That's my life too. I feel like memory is the first thing to go. I'm like, I'll come into a room and like, what was I supposed to be doing?
No, my knees are the first to go. The whole waking up and in pain. How do you wake up in pain?
I don't know.
Your body is at rest. How does everything hurt? That is new. Like, it's and you guys, I don't believe you both are 50 yet, but I'm 50.
We're getting there.
And it's oh my God, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Like, you have to walk for 10 minutes to feel okay.
Oh my God, I said the same thing. I was talking to one of the girls at my job, and I was like, the minute I hit 43, everything just went to hell.
It was like all my cartilage just disappeared.
Yeah. And I said the same thing. Just the steps to feel okay in the mornings is just like like insane. I was like, is this my life now?
Against bone from now on.
Oh, the stuff you kids have to look forward to.
Oh, there's the thing I remembered about the movie. There was like early in the movie, Imelda, I think, threw a shoe at somebody, and then she says, and she doesn't say it. They don't show her face. You hear her voiceover. Now somebody go. Now you go get my shoe. After she hit him with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was like classic. I mean,
that's
how many
classic
times
Latin woman.
How many times that Latin, like Italian?
Yes.
After they hit you with the spoon, I broke it. Now fix it. Go pick out your belt. Right? Yeah. Go pick out the belt I'm going to hit you with.
Yeah.
And don't pick out the weak one.
Yes.
Oh my God, these children are so lucky.
So spoiled.
See, Generation X,
we took our licks, that's for sure.
Well, no, it's like I guess every generation like gets slams for we were lazy. Meanwhile, we work like dogs now.
Yes.
We were wimpy. Meanwhile, we could make a decision.
Yeah.
You know, and we're like, they left us alone. Like, they left us, okay,
to raise ourselves.
Go out, come back at 7, 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say where I was going. I would just walk out of the house.
Oh, he'll be back later.
Yeah,
now these kids are like, oh my God.
Yeah. Now, if you leave your kids playing outside, the neighbor's calling diapers. Jesus.
Right. The neighbors call ACS on you.
Yes.
You know, child services, and they're like, oh, she left her child alone. The child is 13.
Yes.
You know.
I know.
Well,
this is why I say
that child is gonna do, not that you've left it alone. That child probably is raising plenty of cane on its own.
Yes. And this is why I feel like it's so important, especially for parents, to have honest discourse with their kids. I mean, some conversation can be sticky, right? I mean, I've had mature conversations with my firstborn that when I tell other people, they're like, "Oh, really? You said that to her?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't."
She's 13.
Yeah.
I already know too much.
Probably.
No, you don't know. Young lady, you don't know half of it. So you quiet down. You don't know half of it, dear.
And I'm only 8.
Yes, you think so?
Yeah.
All right.
Good. Now
We're going to test you later.
Go get a job and go help mommy.
Yes.
Okay, go to work.
Mama's ready to retire.
She's been ready to. She was ready to retire at 18.
Yes.
Your mother.
Yes.
She's actually one of the hardest workers I know. You've always had a job.
Yes.
You always worked. You worked with me. You had 2.
Yeah.
You're not lazy, girl.
I'm not lazy.
You're not lazy. You got 2 jobs.
I was a stereotype. I think at one point I might have even had 3.
I believe
Crazy.
that. I believe that.
Yeah.
You have had so many jobs and just no money.
But I have a fabulous shoe collection.
No, because she ain't got that inherited money. She don't got real money.
That's right.
Right? And tying this back to the movie.
Yes.
The inheritance, even the company, how the family sustained themselves was through a rejection of music. Like the matriarch who became the matriarch of this family had to do the hardest thing was she became someone who shined shoes, and then she made shoes, and then she built this whole corporation from this whole business from nothing, and was successful, and everybody helped in it. It was like, oh my God, everything this movie just hit. Even how to do a business right is to rope you see that little girl, that little 8-year-old? Okay. Tie shoelaces. You see that 13-year-old you got? Okay, she's gonna start painting shoes. Like everybody has a job. The family is so important, because if they're cooperating with each other, they build something. Your family builds, you know, and it taught so much.
I agree. And it's interesting. The other thing that I thought was interesting was, and again, obviously with younger generations, some of that loses, but I remember growing up, there was like a pinnacle in the family. And in this particular family, it was definitely the grandmother, Elena, because what she said was law, to the point where even like, I don't know if it was her son or her son-in-law, Miguel's dad, was basically like, well, your grandmother said that you're going to start in the family business, or your grandmother said this. And it was almost like the grandmother made the rule and everyone else just fell in line. Yeah. So that was an interesting family dynamic too. and also very steeped in tradition because that's how it used to be, right? At least that's how I remember it too, growing up. There was always that head of the family, whoever that was, that they made the law, they were the law, and that was it. You didn't deviate from the script. And you had people that were considered the black sheep of the family that did their own thing. And in this instance, you could say that Miguel was the black sheep, but not in a bad way. Obviously.
No, I mean, obviously Hector was the black sheep of the family.
True.
Miguel was going.
But was he too? Because he also, in that moment where you see where he wants to leave Ernesto to now come back to his family.
Well, the problem is that nobody knew. He was tired of the road. He wanted to go back to his family and see his daughter,
right,
and be a family man, and that was robbed of him.
Right.
That's everything.
That's where the rift.
Even when she opens up all the songs that he wrote, they thought of everything to justify this man's coming back.
Yeah.
Everything. Like, she kept at the end I forgot that she actually kept all the songs.
Yeah.
And his picture. Like, she kept everything. She actually had to hide it from her daughter.
Yeah.
But she said she opens up this drawer and she sees and everything, and then the antagonist, his memory is gone. Like, even in the afterworld, they won't even deal with him. You know, they just block him out. And they thought of everything. Like, how do you write like that? Like, you just think of everything.
Pixar has an amazing team of storytellers, and they really do think of all the little nuances and details.
Nothing's left to the wayside. It's like everything happens for a reason. Everything in a frame in a Pixar movie is there for a reason. I mean, we've talked about Inside Out, which to me is a perfect movie, but this one too, again, I was not prepared for COCO. I remember going to the theater and just weeping hysterically by the end of this movie.
I think Inside Out was more like a lesson for kids to know, because the big 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old, I think that's what it was geared for, was to teach people, or teach that people are complicated. And even as learners, when they read, they don't quite get that the quality of books that they're reading is bringing characters that act different ways in front of different people, that there are many types of person in one character. So, and that's what I really love Inside Out, because Inside Out really explains that she holds, I think, one color emotion, that's a happy one and a sad one, and also she puts them together, and that becomes hers. And you realize that that's such a hard lesson for an 8 or 9-year-old to get over, but they get over it through experience of life. And that's where that movie was really, I'm like, oh my God, if I could just show Pixar movies and get the kids to read, and they get the kids to read the way they're learning about this movie. Really brilliant how I said, oh my God, the whole thing was it's total 3rd grade, 4th grade reading lesson, or a lesson about characters, that people are complicated and they're more than one way, and they're more than one way for a reason, and you have to look back, and why is that? Right. How will that affect them in the future? You know, this is, oh my God, it's 4th grade stuff, but they're good. They're good. I forgot, like, I don't pay attention to who does what movie, but Pixar is, well, what else did Pixar do?
They've done a ton of stuff. I mean, they did Brave, that we talked about Brave. They did Ratatouille, which up until that point was my favorite movie, The Incredibles.
We should watch Ratatouille.
We should review Ratatouille. We will. We'll get to it.
I want to. You know what movie I want to review? Black Christmas. Remember we saw that?
They did a new one, right?
Yeah, but it can't be as bad as the one we sat through.
We should do a versus. I want to do a versus with you for Fright Night. Oh, do you want to do that?
What's that?
Like
a versus?
So
compare the new one versus the old one.
Yeah, so we would watch both of them. We would watch the old one, and then we would watch the new one, and then like compare and contrast the two movies. Because I think Fright Night is like really. Oh, don't worry, I'll cut this out. I think Fright Night is interesting because the original one was good, but I really like the new one with Colin Farrell. Like, he brought, like, such a menace. Like, Chris Sarandon was so, like...
I didn't see either one.
Really? Oh, my God, they're really good. They're really good.
I would love to do is Carrie, or It. It was excellent. I never saw the first It. I saw the second one, and I said, wow. I can imagine
the first one is better, I think, right?
The first
one's
of the
unreal.
new It movies is good. That's really good. It's better than the second one.
Yeah, it's better than the second one. Although
it's scarier.
It's scarier, yeah.
The second one injects more humor into it.
But I think, like, even the TV movie is like, well, it's silly now, but I remember seeing it.
I don't think it has aged well.
Yeah, probably not. But still, don't crap on my youth.
Bad effects and actors phoning it in.
How dare you?
What's he talking about?
I know, like, my kids' eyes have just glazed over. I guess we should wrap it up. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to go... What's that?
Time always goes fast with you. Like, I can't believe I'm sitting here 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Even after my poo-poo break, which we told you about. I'm like, this girl ain't gonna be on time. So I'm gonna be able to do this.
No. We're really good about the podcast. It's probably like one of the few things that we're consistent about. But yeah.
Maybe like at 50 or something.
50?
Yeah.
So what else do you guys talk about besides movies?
This podcast is mostly about movies.
It's just movies.
Yeah, this one's about movies. I mean,
although we go on
plenty of tangents for sure.
No way. I couldn't tell.
All right, so let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. Okay, I'm gonna go first because I love this movie. It is amazing. Inside Out is still my favorite movie, Pixar-wise, but there will always be a special part in my heart for COCO. Coming from Latin heritage, this really spoke to me. Just as a human being, this really spoke to me. As a daughter, this really spoke to me. As someone who's buried parents, this spoke to me. May we always make our ancestors proud. I think this is such a lovely, lovely, lovely movie. Great messages, great storytelling. Kudos to Pixar once again. Fantastic voice work by all the actors. That song, Remember Me, always wrecks me. I will hear that song when I'm Mama Coco's age, and I will still bust out crying. This is a perfect movie. I give this a 10. What do you say?
There's no such thing as a perfect movie. But I will give this like a 9.5. This is an excellent movie. Outstanding. The lessons in it, the beautiful visuals, the basic storytelling, the music. I'm not a big musical guy, but there are great songs in it.
Yeah.
They're not hammering you with it. Like I can't remember was it that Willoughby's movie where they just kept hammering you with that goddamn song?
Yeah.
This isn't like that.
What else do you want this movie to do? Like wash your feet? Like what?
Ray just likes being difficult. He's like, there is no perfect movie.
There's no.
You want it to feed you? Like, my God. Wow, he's tough.
I'm tough. 10 is perfect, and there's no such thing. So.
He's a liar. He's a liar.
I'm gonna talk now.
Okay, you go.
I learned so much from this movie, and that's the big thing for me. Like for me, if a movie could teach me anything, and I'm not realizing what I'm learning, that is a really powerful tool. It made my top 5. Like I put it right in with Shawshank Redemption, which is one of my favorite movies. I do love The Exorcist just because it's scary. Wizard of Oz is another movie that's in my top 5. Like COCO, for me, deserves to be on that platform with. And I know my picks might be a little not what other people. What my pick is an incredible movie, like maybe a Schindler's List, which I hadn't seen, only seen parts of. But but COCO really deserves that place on. Like this is, if you want to be a 10, you gotta beat this one, and I don't see it. I don't see anybody doing that for a long time.
Yes.
Like beautiful. I can't get over the candles.
Yeah.
Like they look like little flames and the way they flickered. I'm like, it didn't. It's a cartoon, but parts of it didn't feel like a cartoon.
No, and that's another thing about Pixar movies. You really feel immersed in it, like in the story. It's like, I felt like I was in that mausoleum with Miguel trying to steal that guitar. I felt like I was crossing the bridge into the land of the dead. I felt like we were going on this crazy adventure with Miguel.
The level of detail is just nuts. Even, I mean, I studied like 3D stuff, and it's not an easy thing. You're rendering all those little things, and when he's playing the guitar, he's touching the strings.
He is playing a D chord, and he's playing a G chord. I'm sitting there with my partner, and I'm like, he's playing a D. He's playing a G. He's playing a C. Like, where he put his fingers is exactly where they should.
Like, that much detail. And they could have totally just been like, just move his arm up and down and have him jiggle his fingers.
Yeah.
They could have totally just said, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's save some money on that. But no, they showed him playing the little chords.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Well, this is why you're wrong. This is a 10.
Any more money.
This is why you're wrong. It is as good as it's gonna get.
Yeah,
that's why I agree with him.
I gave Inside Out like a 9.7 or 9.8. So okay, then I'll give this one. I liked Inside Out a wee bit more, so I'll give this whatever I gave Inside Out 9.69.
Whatever. Now he's landing.
I can't give
Simone,
anything a 10.
What's her name? The one that beats everybody, Simone.
Simone Biles.
Okay. Like, what do you want? This is the Simone Biles of movies.
Yes.
Does it have flaws? Sure. Is she the best thing out there?
Absolutely.
Try beating her. When the men go to her meet, and you're seeing, and they're like, holy cow, what did she do? The men. Come on. This is the Simone Biles of movies. It is, or at least of movies of that genre. It is by far.
Yeah.
It's
funny because you watch like just regular live action movies, and you're not even fully emotionally invested in those things. And it's funny because, like you said, just the way he touches the chord, the way his eyes closed, and you see him concentrating on imitating what Ernesto's doing on the screen. This movie is flawless as far as I'm concerned. It's flawless. It's a 10, absolutely. And you are incorrect.
All right.
Let me see if my children are smarter.
1 to 10.
1 to 10. What do you say?
I give it a 7. Oh my God! You ladies don't shut up, and now we can't get you to talk.
Olive G, come here. What do you give this movie? 1 to 10.
I would give it a perfect 9.
9?
A perfect 9.
What? These kids are just trying to be controversial.
I'm just joking. I give it a perfect 10.
Thank you. That's better. What about you, Gigi?
Actually, no, 15.
It is a 15, actually.
15 out of 10.
No, 100.
What about you, Mrs. G?
Oh?
She's really thinking about it.
No, I already know. I just don't want to be disappointing.
No.
Why?
You can't be disappointing.
You can't be disappointing. This is subjective. This is an opinion.
And I give it a 9.8 because it didn't make me cry.
Okay.
Well, you are a cold little young lady. I tell you that.
When you first saw it, the very first time, did it make you cry?
But now it doesn't.
Yeah.
That's fine.
We're going by like if you were to see this the first time, it would have.
But I'm not. So I'm
we've
rating it like I've seen it before because I have.
Well, that's fine. A 9.8 is nothing to sneeze at. I think, you know what? I think people take what they take from the film. I hope that you continue to watch it, even though you've already seen it. I think, again, as someone who's in their latter part of their life, this spoke to me on so many different levels. And I think that when art moves you like that, when it really just touches you on so many different platforms, because again, this is a family story, this is about music, this is about art, this is about traditions and customs, this is about culture, this is about being a decent human being. There's so much really to talk about here. Obviously, we don't have the time, but it's always awe-inspiring to me that a movie can make you really just go down this rabbit hole. And this is definitely...
It's kind of like the Popeye's chicken sandwich. Like,
absolutely.
Like
this is the Popeye's chicken sandwich of movies. Absolutely. I will shank somebody.
It's the Popeye's chicken sandwich of animated films.
Yes. Yes. And if it gets a 9.8, I don't know.
It's good. It's good.
As good as it's going to get for me.
Yeah.
Crying and carrying on.
Do you have time? Do you have time next weekend to do a movie with us? G wants to do the Babadook.
That's still on
it's on something.
Netflix, right?
I think it's. Do you have Prime or no?
No, I don't do all that.
How do you not?
Let's discuss this
cheap.
when we're done
watch TV all day.
All right, so that's it from us, and we'll come back with another review soon.
Good night.
Thank you so much to Uncle Leo.
Yes,
we love you.
Thank you.
Am I staying?
Yeah, you can stay.
I guess we're leaving. I'm staying.
Good night.
Good night. Good night. Good night.